schedule earlier on this week and you see the bottom feeders in Kingston and in Brantford, you're thinking you could get 4 points or at least come out of the weekend with 3 points. And it's definitely a disappointing weekend as a whole. And you look at the effort that was given last night, and they didn't have any pushback. But then you come here today and you lay an egg in the first period, a lot of penalties. But then the pushback was there today. So there is some positives to take out of this weekend. And you got to think, these are 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds that just had a head coach fired. So there's a lot that was going on in the room this entire week. It's a lot to take in. And for some of them, some of the guys might have liked Coach Greg Walters. Some of the guys might have not agreed with him. But it's a change nonetheless. And I look for next weekend to be the weekend that they come back guns blazing.
Well, they'll certainly have lots of time to practice up. They don't play again until Saturday against the Kitchener Rangers. That being said, the sample size is getting much larger now. This isn't the first couple of games, the first 3 or 4 games. Okay, we're getting a little deeper. We're almost a month into the season now, and we're starting to see what this attack team is. And I think we're starting to see that there are some areas that, if this team has any aspirations of going deep this season, certainly need to be addressed. We talk about the offensive firepower. It's a lot of one-and-done chances. That's been the case for a while, and I think you can maybe say, okay, with a little time, new structure, they might be able to find themselves getting those second and third looks if they kind of change up their strategy. One area, though, again, defense just has to be a little stronger. You need to get, obviously, saves, and it was another tough afternoon for Corbin Votary. But that being said, discipline, defense in your own zone, limiting turnovers. I think that's really what it's coming down to right now, is that this team defensively just isn't good enough.
Yeah, when we talk about the defense, it's not like the 6 defensive players. It's the defensive unit as a whole. How you cover your own zone. Are you playing man-to-man? Are you playing zone defenses? How are you protecting the house? And how do you protect your goaltender when pucks hit them, and then when the attacker on the offense is a lot of one and done, but you see sustained pressure and unable to retrieve pucks and battle along boards. And you mentioned discipline. That's multiple games in a row where you're getting 5, 6, 7 power plays to the other team. It's just not sustainable, and you can't win hockey games when you're always in the box because you have no flow on the offensive end and getting everybody in rhythm. And then we talk about the penalty kill. It's all your better forwards, the top unit, that are killing the penalties, and penalty killing is very tough minutes. So when you look at it as a whole, something needs to change. And I looked at this week, and they really break down the game film and break it all down for the boys. And hopefully, come Saturday here against Kitchener, that something changes.
The one thing I will look at the end of the day here is, I was talking about sample size. It still is October. There's so much runway to go, and I don't think one weekend should define this entire season for this team, and it certainly won't. There's been skids, there have been good patches, tough patches. You're going to have your ups and downs, but a tough weekend nonetheless for the Owen Sound attack. And like you said, it's all about how you respond come next weekend. Saturday at 4 p.m. will be our next broadcast when the attack play host to the Kitchener Rangers. Then they cap off their weekend next Sunday night on the road against the Oshawa General. So a tough one. Dropping 3 in a row this weekend for the Owen Sound attack. But, every season's filled, like I said, with a bit of drama. We'll just see what next lies in store when it comes to the chapter that is this early season for the Owen Sound attack. On behalf of Adrian Musso, my name is Mark McKelvey. Enjoy your Sunday evening. Let's go down to our host, JC Coots, who will send us home.
Thanks very much, Adrian. Thank you, Mark. Great game, both of you. And looking forward already to our next game, as Mark mentioned. Note the time. It's going to be a 4 o'clock game here at the Harry Lumley Bayshore Community Center next Saturday night when the Kitchener Rangers come to town. It already has been odd to see the door open here down at ringside and see sunlight on the outside of the arena, but we'll be doing that again next Saturday. Well, on behalf of all of the volunteers who make Attack Hockey possible here on Rogers TV, including our director, Mark Perry, Daryl Van Slack, and everyone else, my name is JC Coots. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening.
Due to the length of the preceding program, we now join the regularly scheduled program already in progress.
Answer them, or if I can't, get the information and provide the information that they need, or to kind of triage the situation and advise them and tell them, you know what, you should probably be calling the station today because that's something that's a little bit more serious in nature and you might want to get on that. So that's why we do that, and it's great having them because it's a great connection to the community. And I've been fortunate for the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years. I've had some amazing students that have worked for the Owen Sound Police and have represented the service quite well.
Well, and my first run-in with these police youths is years ago. I was at the splash pad at Kelso Beach at Nawash Park, and these 3 students rode in on bikes, and they started giving out positive tickets.
Yes.
You know, you're wearing a hat and sunscreen and great job, here's a positive ticket. And I think it was like sunglasses or something like that. And the kids freaked out about it. They were so in love with that whole program. So do you still do the positive ticking program?
Yeah, we do that. It's a really important program that we do. So the students at least once, sometimes twice a week, their main mode of transportation is bicycle. It's a healthy, active mode of transportation for them. And it also promotes using your hand signal, putting on your bike helmet, you know, having stuff that your clothing that you can see, all of that stuff that we try to preach, we practice. So young people who are younger than our students get to see kind of like a role model type behavior. And then if we see families having fun together, if we see young people who are doing something good in the community, we have community businesses who have given us coupons that we've been able to give out to say, hey, this is a positive ticket. Thanks for doing something good in the community. Or, you know what, thanks for coming down here and just having fun today with your family and being positive or being a positive role model. And it's a really good interaction.
Yeah.
We like it. It's been positive for quite a while, hence the reason the positive ticket program. We like it. We're going to continue to do it. We're really happy when businesses come on board and support that. And it's a great way to interact with our community.
So if a local business wanted to provide $5 gift certificates or whatever they want for you to give out to these children, how would they go about getting in contact with you for that?
Well, they could call me directly, so 519-376-1234. Certainly it's not an emergency, so you don't have to call 911 for that.
Yeah. Please don't.
Please don't. Just call the generic phone line, and then my extension is 569, and just say that you might want to get involved, you know, next summer. I also have my Youth and Policing Initiative. I've written for another grant, and so we're going to keep students on for the fall and the winter months this year because we have lots of events coming up, lots of opportunities for our young people to stay connected with our community and continue to learn about policing, because really we also, for individuals who are interested in policing, it kind of gives them like a paid cooperative, really, just kind of a first-hand knowledge of what kind of happens. And for some of them, that's what they want to get into. They might want to get into dispatch or communications, records department. They might want to just try auxiliary when they get older and kind of get back, or they want to get into being a police officer itself. So it gives them first-hand experience. It's great on their resume, and it kind of is like a bit of a launch pad for if they head off to university or college and they want to get into law enforcement in some capacity.
So this is a paid role? Interesting.
Yeah,
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's why we have to apply or write for the grant, get approval if we're lucky. We've been lucky. Thankfully, we've got great students, and I'd say we have a pretty good program. So it's easy to report back to the ministry on what we do.
Right.
We have, we always make sure that we chronicle what we do. We photo where we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, because anybody who is taxpayers' money, you want to see what you're getting for it. And I understand that. I can certainly appreciate that. And certainly working in government for as many years as I have, when you report back, you can say whatever you want, but, pictures say 1,000 words. And then having community also speak on behalf of the work that our students do, I think also allows us to keep those doors open for grant and funding opportunities that comes from the ministry so that we can continue to hire young people. And hopefully down the road, because we have a few, we call them YIPI students, Youth and Policing Initiative, are YIPI students who have gone on to university. They're in their second year, one is in their third, with the hopes to come back to the area. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to hire them, but we also have other municipal services, in our Grey Bruce area that we hope that we've developed some really good people or helped to develop really good people who went on, got continued education in law enforcement, criminology, forensics, pick a topic that might be relevant because they want to come back and they want to be police. They want to be a police officer, and we want young people who are local to come back to this area. No different than you know myself, still working in this area, grew up in this area and still working in this area, and that's kind of what we want.
Yeah.
Because we are unique. Owen Sound is unique. It's a city unto itself. You're about 2 hours away from any other major city on average. So there's the lure of going to the city, and ideally when you've got some good minds and some good young people, we want them to come back.
Yeah.
So that's
I myself, I went away for school, and then I chose to come back here to raise my child.
Yep.
And I mean, one of the reasons I've done that is because we have services like, the youth and policing and our own police services and all the culture and all arts and everything like that that Owen Sound has to offer. So why wouldn't I want to raise my family here?
And I think it's also important when I can only speak from municipal service, that we have a lot of people who either grew up, who work in our police service, who either grew up in the area, or they have a family member who grew up in the area, or they've cottaged up in the area. So there's that personal connection. Yeah. And there's a reason why they've been, pulled back this way. And so there's a passion when they police in the community. There's a passion about policing in Owen Sound. And it takes a special person because we are a very, very busy police service because we have lots of services here in our city, but it's not a big city. So we have big city problems for a small city. Our members are extremely busy, some of the busiest per officer and call volume in all of the province. And you can include some of the larger cities when you break it down per officer. So you want to have people who are passionate about being here, who care about being here, and who care about putting on the Owen Sound police uniform, quite frankly. So, and that's what we're hoping with the Youth in Policing initiative, is that they're also passionate about it and they will want to come back.
So youth in policing, just before we go to break, if somebody is interested in that role, how would they go about applying or becoming part of that program? So
the end of March, 1st of April, we'll post something on our social media accounts. So if you don't follow us on social media, because you'll also get up to date on a myriad of different things that are happening with our service. But when it also comes to employment opportunities, and youth in policing is no different than a constable position or a dispatch position, that's where we post them. Okay. You can check it out, and then there's a whole application process, and there's a full interview process that you go through. And sometimes you'll be invited back for a second interview process, because we want students to actually understand the importance of not only the role, but when you have an interview later on in life, this is how it's probably going to transpire.
Right.
So it's a process, and we do our best to try to, hire good people, knowing that there's going to be some great ones that we don't get to hire because we only have so much money. But that's basically it. So around end of March, 1st of April, we'll start asking for applicants, and then usually May we do the interviews, and then you'll start in June.
And your Owen Sound Police Services online, right? On your socials?
Yes, Owen Sound Police Service,
Perfect.
So you can check us out, Instagram, Facebook, X, I guess now, not Twitter. And you can also check us out on our website. So
perfect.
That's ideally how to connect. But if you are interested in those kind of roles, specifically youth and policing, that's the best way to do it.
Awesome. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about some of the things that we've gotten up to together. And I'll see you in a hot minute.
Sounds good.
Baking for Change is coming this fall, and I'm your host, Wendy Pauls. We'll feature some of Canada's best bakers like Jen and Astor, sharing their favorite recipes. And you can bake along with us at home, while supporting refugee youth like Crystal. And the amazing work of UNICEF Canada.
Check for days and times
on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Viveca Gravel, Community Development Coordinator with the City of Owen Sound and the River District. And welcome to My River District. This is a show where every week we'll be here at Rogers Studios talking to you and talking to local businesses and people in the community about why they, as locals, love it here. They'll also share some stories about their businesses and how they can help you. So meet us here every week, Rogers TV, for the whole season of My River District.
Lovely viewers, it's your host of On the Couch, Antoine El Hashim, reminding you to tune in for every episode of Season 9 of the longest running and most loved local queer talk show on Rogers TV. Check it out.
We're back with my friend Jason Cranny, the Community Services Officer with Owen Sound Police Services.
Yeah.
We just finished talking about the
Youth in Police
Initiative, the YIP Yippee?
We call them yippies.
The yippies?
Yeah, our yippie students.
And you can apply to be that starting in...
End of March, 1st of April.
1st of April.
In that time frame.
Yeah, and we had a really great experience with them actually fairly recently.
Yep.
This fall we held a wheel and ride. And of course, this is one of my initiatives that I began with the River District, having had fond memories of bike rodeos from when I was a kid.
Yes.
But we wanted to call it a wheel and ride because really kids can bring their scooters or rollerblades or their skateboard,
yep.
whatever, because it was really just the foundation of street safety and
Sure.
learning how to have your helmet on right and hand signals and all those kinds of things. And your students actually took a huge role in that, being there and setting up the course and all
Yep.
that kind of stuff. And we've done this a couple of times now, but the one that we had in September was insane.
It was. In fact, it was hands down the biggest one that we've ever had.
Yeah.
And we had talked. We tried to do something we tweaked it a little bit.
Yeah.
To move it in front of City Hall.
Yeah.
To kind of coincide with the market because there's other things happening that weekend. And wow, that was
very cool.
It was cool. And then to have 2 local service organizations helping and supporting the event.
Yes.
As well as Scenic Cycle.
Yes.
Was awesome. And so it was a great partnership with 5 different organizations. And in fact, I would say it was so successful, we didn't even have enough space to do some of our proper safety training with young people because the lines were so big. And so
Brandon at Scenic Cycle probably hit, 100 bikes that day?
I don't think he put his head up from the time he started until the time he finished.
He had his 2 toddler age kids who were literally helping him blow up tires and stuff.
And I think it shows the need and the importance of, continuing to support, what you would have referred to and I would have known as bike rodeos and just trying to, change the mindset that it's not all bikes with scooters and skateboards and rollerblades. And it's a healthy, active mode of transportation.
Absolutely.
And it's a great way for young people to get from point A to point B, but also understanding the safety parameters around that. And as we said before, we are a city and we have lots of traffic to go through here.
Yeah.
So whenever we can have that opportunity to relay that safety information to young people, we do, and the EP students are great at that. So they did that. But we had hoped to have a little bit of a course, which we have in the past, and it's worked really well.
It was there a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the afternoon.
But it was packed. The amount of people that came was wonderful, and I think that's the whole idea is to host another one in the spring. And I know both service clubs were great to deal with, and they want to partner again, which is also
Brandon
amazing.
from Scenic Cycle is also totally in.
Yes.
He actually had to close his business down for that afternoon so that he could come and be part of this to help the greater community, kind of just out of the kindness of his heart, which is really, really lovely, because a lot of our local businesses will do those kinds of things. And then, of course, we've got the community groups. We had the Junior Optimists of Owen Sound, and it's the Kiwanis, but it was also the adult, the Sydenham and District.
Sydenham and District Optimist Club.
Optimist Club, that's right. And the Kiwanis Club of Owen Sound as well. And all them working together collaboratively to bring, the Optimists were really focused on the bicycles.
Yes.
I think the Kiwanis might be storing those bicycles for them.
And the Kiwanis also help with helmets.
Yes.
And bells.
Right.
I think Brandon was also helping with some bells for bikes. So there's a huge emphasis on, there's one thing about fixing a bike, but making sure that when that young person hops on that bike, that they're safe.
Yep.
So that's where the 2 service clubs, whether they got bikes donated and Brandon helped to refurbish them, which was kind of the focus from the Sydenham Optimists.
Yes.
And then, when a young person hops on that bike, what do they need to have on so that they're safe? And that's where Kiwanis kind of kicked in and made sure that we had helmets for anybody who needed a helmet, and how to properly put it on and how to properly have it fitted. And then we also had bike lights with the Owen Sound Police provided, and Brandon had some bells that he was helping install on bikes to make sure that when a young person left that day, we tried to make it as safe as possible. And so having all those partners worked out really well, because I already took a little piece of that. And then, of course, having it in the River District was awesome, because the amount of traffic that goes, through the River District on any given day, specifically on a Saturday morning.
Well, it's market morning, right?
That's market morning. And so people even coming up and asking what was happening and what's going on. It's a great opportunity to talk about, the downtown area, the River District, why we're there. And a lot of people might not think that, in front of City Hall might be a spot that you would host an event. And we talked about whether that would work or not.
Took some measurements.
Yeah.
You biked around it to see if it was possible.
Yeah, and it was possible, but
Yeah.
we weren't also expecting that many people. So it's a good problem to have. Like supply
Absolutely.
and demand, we'll figure another way to make it work, and we'll expand accordingly. But that's kind of what you wanted to see in the hub of your city, to see community,
Yep.
like active, taking part, partnering. We had families, we had young people, we had newcomers to our community who are coming down.
Yeah,
which
because it was
fan-
welcoming week
It was
as well.
welcoming week as well. Yeah, so all of that kind of came together, which was fantastic. And I think it goes to show when you work collaboratively together in partnership, what we can actually accomplish. And it was cool. I'm really glad that not only was it a good event, but the area in which it was held was awesome as well. Just seeing people, it was just packed. There was a great buzz.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, just getting something around 30-ish bikes
Yep.
in the hands of littles to bigs,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Toddlers with their little like push bikes
Yep.
to kids with multi-geared bikes.
Sure, yeah.
And stuff. And all of them left with helmets,
Yep.
bells, lights, the whole, well, bells and whistles, literally.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. That's literally what it was.
So it was really so lovely to see those families and those kids come together to be able to get those things in their hands, because not everybody gets the
No.
opportunity to have one. Things are not cheap. We
No.
know things are not cheap right now. And so it's really lovely that there were people who also donated these bikes before that.
Yep.
And I believe the Sydenham and District and the Junior Optimists of Owen Sound are still collecting bikes for that. So that we can maybe do this again in the future.
I think that's the hope. I think certainly after talking to both community groups, as you have as
Yes.
well, service clubs, is that they were beyond happy with the results, and they want to be involved in the future. And I know we're going to be having a meeting about that forthcoming to make sure that actually takes part and actually happens. So,
Yes.
and actually having two service groups working collaboratively together
So great.
was great. And I think they also acknowledged that was great, and they were kind of working through that. But at the end of the day, it's how do you make our community a better spot, and that's how you do it.
Right. I mean, both groups just want to help the greater community,
Yep.
and if working together to do that makes it all the more possible, then
So be it.
why not?
Yep.
And it was such a beautiful message, and it was such a great day. I was so thrilled about it.
Yeah,
I
it
get
was
very
great.
emotional about it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So that's fantastic. And yes, stay tuned absolutely for the new year. We do have some plans in place, but we're just working through some logistics on whether or not we can make something
Yep.
happen.
Yep.
That should be pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, you go to all sorts of other events too, right? Like,
Yeah, we do lots of events, and actually, I would say like most of the events that we go to, if they're not at the schools, are kind of in the River District downtown area.
Yeah.
So we're in that area quite often, which is really good for us because there's a lot of foot traffic, especially during the day. Obviously Saturday mornings as well with the markets. It's kind of a bit of a happening spot in the summer.
Yep.
There's lots of things going on. There's music in the market. There's movie night under the stars that happens in that general area. So whenever we can be out at events, we certainly try to, and being on foot and on bike is a great way for us to interact.
yeah,
And the River District is such a large area,
it is.
so it's a lot better for us to be on foot, so we can have that positive interaction, with local businesses, with people who are doing some general shopping, people who are just downtown grabbing a coffee, maybe doing some banking, whatever it may be. Just to have that regular connection. So we certainly do that. And then we've been really active on our bikes this summer as well, for a myriad of reasons. It's a good, healthy way to get from point A to point B. It's also a good way to just pull over and talk to the community, because oftentimes people will ask us questions, generic questions.
I'm going to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
You cannot walk down the road with this guy without him getting stopped every 10 feet by community members who have questions, who just find him very approachable. And you're so wonderful to engage with everybody who has questions or just want to chat
thanks.
with you about certain things.
Yeah. Well, you certainly get asked a myriad of different questions, and I think it's kind of having that Rolodex in your head, because you can be asked anything from stuff on elder abuse to the positive ticket program, to something serious that's happened in the community, to drug issues, to what kind of work do you do at the schools, how come you're doing this, how come you're not doing this, and all questions are good. Like, it's healthy. That's the whole purpose of my role. That's the whole purpose of having that community service, is to have that interaction so the community actually feels that they have a voice, that they can talk to somebody. And I'm happy to take the time. Sometimes I'm late for a meeting, as you know, because I'll get stopped and I don't want to cut somebody off. And their conversation or their topic is important to them. And so I try to give them as much time as I can. And if I don't have the answers, will give them my card, and I will go back and I'll get the information that they're looking for, or I'll be straight up honest with them. Sometimes they're looking for an answer that they're not going to get. And sometimes it's out of our hands. Sometimes it has to do with the court system and not the actual law enforcement policing side of things. And sometimes it's something completely different, and I just have to remind them that we don't actually deal with something like that. So, but that's my role, and I'm okay with that. And usually when I go on foot downtown, I don't get very far because there's lots of people who will stop and ask questions, but that's fine. That's what I like to do.
Well, and you're so good at it.
Well,
you're so great at engaging with the community.
I guess maybe I got a bit of a gift of the gab, I guess.
Well, I've been sitting here for a while, and it hasn't been hard to speak to you. So I think we're all benefiting from that. But we've got about a minute and a half left. You were talking about foot patrol in the River District and bike patrol and all those kinds of things, which we'll group into kind of one kind of thing. Can you give us some stats on that?
Sure. So certainly in the work that we do, we actually have to keep stats. That's part of the work that we do. And collecting the number of hours that we actually do on foot or on bike, we actually provide that information to the River District Committee.
The River District Board of Management.
Board of Management, which Inspector Jeff Flooney reports on that. And so on average, we do about 125 hours a month on foot and bikes, just specifically in the River District, which people may not be aware of, because of course, we might be doing foot traffic on 3rd or 9th or 2nd or by the market, wherever we are. You might not see us, but we are always walking around, trying to interact with our community. Sometimes in the evening at 3 in the morning, we're down there on foot, or often you'll see us on bikes. So we actually do, it's about 125 hours a month.
Wow, 125 hours per month is pretty impressive. We've got about 1 minute left. I wanted to thank you for coming in here. And really quickly, if you could just tell us, because you said you were a local, born and bred Owen Sounder, can you tell me why you as a local love it here?
I love it here just because I like that small community feel, and hence the reason why my wife and I decided to raise our family here and come back and work here. So always liked it, always will.
All right. Well, Jason is a great friend to have in the community. He's always at our different events. We'll see you next time probably at the Santa Claus Parade. You guys will be in and around the Holiday Magic event. We'll have hockey and stuff. You may not know about that yet. Surprise, we're going to have hockey.
It's going to be a busy day.
It's going to be a very busy day.
Day and night.
And we're very excited to have you there. You get your official Locals Love It Here button.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been great. And of course, we're going to have you back, of course.
Sure. Anytime.
And maybe we'll bring the students next time.
They're talkative people as well. I might actually not even talk next time.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us on My River District, and we'll see you next time.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
I can't thank people enough for donating to the War Amps.
If I could, I'd give every single donor a big hug, because things that they've allowed these kids to do are amazing.
Gives them the opportunity to experience life as everyone else would.
They can do so much. They can play musical instruments, snowboarding, play hockey, kayak, swim. There's no doors being closed to them, and I find that amazing.
It's affected my family in a way that we may never be able to thank you.
This is a perfectly healthy child. What's unhealthy are birth alerts, a racist practice that may stop